afternoon. Today, we are here not to protest anything. We're not here to protest, but we're here to remember and honor the 26 Canadians that perished in the 9/11 tragedy. Tomorrow will mark the 19th anniversary of the Islamist attack on the United States of America. This attack impacted so many more than Americans. It impacted the world and changed the way people thought and worked and lived. As we heard on the news this past month, another ISIS sympathizer was charged in Toronto. Her husband was charged months earlier. Mosques around the world continue to teach and preach jihad. A mosque in Toronto was in the news several years ago for its prayer against non-Muslims. We see particularly virulent hatred against the Jewish community in the continued call for intifada against Israel here in Canada. In London here, a mosque has regularly hosted an American imam that has promoted jihad. The RCMP continue to have significant concerns about extremists who have taken part in terrorist activities overseas. And our Homeland Security continues to thwart potential attacks and monitor suspected jihadi. And we're very grateful for that. I don't think we know the half of what they do and the half of the things that they catch. It just doesn't seem to make the news. Terror attacks have continued on a regular basis, but September 11, 2001 stands out as the worst terror attack in modern history. In the past 30 days, there have been 22 Islamist terror attacks, leaving 723 people dead and 590 people injured. That's in the last 30 days, so over 1,000 people were impacted. And these are attacks that are actually documented. There are more than what are documented. Some just don't make the news. Since 9/11, there have been more than 67,600 Islamist terror attacks. Over 67,000 since 9/11. September 11, 2001 will remain in our memories as a dark day in history. 19 men hijacked 4 fuel-loaded U.S. commercial airplanes bound for West Coast destinations. A total of 2,977 people. 2,977 people were killed in New York City, Washington, D.C., and outside of Shanksville, Pennsylvania. The attack was orchestrated by the Islamist terror group Al-Qaeda. 26 of those who perished as a result of the attacks that day were Canadians. 26 were Canadians. Although we remember all of the victims today, and they came from all over the world, today we're going to concentrate on and focus on the Canadians whose lives were lost. I'm going to give you a brief timeline of that day's events, and this is concerning Canadian content. September 11, 2001, 8:38 a.m. NORAD officials, including Canadians on duty, received the first alert of a possible hijacked plane moving towards New York City. American Airlines Flight 11 from Boston to Los Angeles. 8:45 a.m. United Airlines Flight 175, also hijacked after taking off in Boston, flies into the South Tower. Saskatchewan native Garnet Bailey, a former NHL player and current scout, was on board. 9:21 a.m. The Transport Situation Center in Ottawa begins activating for the emergency. Canada issues a ground stop for all departures. 10:03 a.m. United Airlines Flight 93, whose co-pilot was married to a Canadian, crashes in Pennsylvania after being hijacked. 10:24 a.m. The FAA announces the diversion of all U.S.-bound transatlantic flights to Canada. Every 90 seconds, a pilot requests to enter Canadian airspace. 10:28 a.m. The collapse of the World Trade Center's North Tower. 13 Canadians inside are reported killed. 10:40 a.m. Canadian stock markets are closed. The TSE 300 composite has fallen 293.86 points. 10:43 a.m. NAV Canada notifies pilots that departures from Canadian airports are cancelled and that U.S.-bound flights will head north instead. 10:50 a.m. Prime Minister Jean Chrétien releases a written statement. This is part of his statement, quote, "There can be no cause or grievance that could ever justify such unspeakable violence. Indeed, such an attack is an assault not only on the targets, but an offense against the freedom and rights of all civilized nations." One of the best quotes he's ever had, I have to say. 11 a.m. Streets around Parliament Hill and the Supreme Court of Canada are blocked by police after reports of a suspicious package in an abandoned car near the East Block. 11:17 a.m. All departures from Canadian airports are cancelled. 11:30 a.m. approximately, the Canadian forces take executive control of Canadian airspace, normally a wartime measure. Security is increased at military bases. That's the end of the brief. The repercussions of 9/11 continues to be felt to this day everywhere around the world. I'm going to read you the names of the Canadian victims now. The Canadian victims of 9/11 were Michael Arzinski, Garnet Bailey, David Barkway, Ken Besnicki, James Beattie, Joseph Collison, Cynthia Connolly, Aaron Dack, Frank Joseph Doyle, Christine Egan, Michael Egan, Albert Elmary, Meredith Ewart, Peter Feidelberg, Alexander Filipov, Ralph Earhart, Stuart Lee, Mark Ludvigsen, Bernard Mascarenhas, Colin MacArthur, Michael Peltier, Donald Robson, Ramiro Santos, Vladimir Tomasevic, Chantel Vincelli, and Debbie Williams. We also remember Leroy Homer. Mr. Homer was the co-pilot of hijacked United Airlines Flight 93 that crashed in Pennsylvania. He was an American citizen, but his wife Melody was from Hamilton, Ontario. We will now place the wreath, after which we will have a few moments of silence, and after that we will sing our national anthem. Never again, God willing, never again, God keep our land glorious and free.
Close up. Sorry guys.
Oh, Canada,
our home and native land, true patriot love, in all thy sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard.